Welcome to the Babes Talking Business Podcast, episode 2. We are so excited for you guys to hear from our guest today. We've got Ori on the line from Jetsettersecrets, a flight attendant who turned her passion for hosting and traveling into a 6-figure income, all through Airbnb. And do you want to know the craziest part of all? Doesn't own a single piece of property. I cannot wait for you guys to hear her story. Her desire to travel the world made her and her boyfriend Chris think outside the box on how they can manage their business online remotely while traveling the world. And you know what? They've come up with it, and they're going to be sharing all of their secrets on our episode today on the Babes Talking Business podcast. Ori currently lives in Playa del Carmen in Mexico, and you can catch them online on all their different social media handles. We've got all their links in the description below, so make sure you jump on jetsettersecrets.com. You can find them at Jetsettersecrets on Instagram. We hope you love this episode just as much as we did. It was so amazing to chat with Ori and hear all her secrets about how she's made her 6-figure income through Airbnb. Such an amazing business. I hope you love it, guys. Here we go.
Thank you so much for jumping on this week and talking with us, lovely.
Thank you for having me.
And so I would love, I guess I was talking to Shani about how did I actually meet you? And I think I connected with you online probably a year or so ago because I saw that you had a passion for travel. And I was like, oh, you're always like at a new beach or you're sunbaking somewhere. And I was just like,
we actually connected on Instagram while I was in South Africa.
Yeah.
I love Instagram. Like how good is social media?
Social media.
Technology, social media.
It's amazing.
And I know I was, because obviously Shani and I are really passionate about business and educating women and other streams of income. And that's why I was like, what are you doing? What allows you to have the lifestyle that you have? And I know when we connected, you told me a little bit about what you do. And I was like, oh my God, we need to get you on our podcast. We need you just talking about educating women about what the journey looks like and kind of, the other options that are out there.
Yeah, well, I'm super pumped. I actually can't wait to learn from you because I'm just going to be a total sponge here and be a student and soak up all your goodness because I'm excited to learn. I'm sure our listeners are as well.
I think that this business is actually a new breed, maybe not for many, but the entrepreneurship. That's how it's called these days. And it's an interesting story how I started it because about 6 years ago, I decided to leave my job. I was managing retail, and it was so hectic. I used to come back at home like 10 or 11 p.m. and it was just, I had no life, basically. I was making good money, but I had no life. So I was like, you know what? Let me just do what I love. And I started thinking about what I like doing. And I was like, I love traveling and I'm really good with people. So let me just do that. And there was an open position in United Airlines and I just started flying. I was like, being a flight attendant was perfect. I could fly. And, but I think after a few months, I realized that in order to make a nice income, I will have to be up in the air many hours to, and that wasn't my idea of living freely, traveling. That wasn't, but I knew one day something will happen and I'll know, my way around and it will shift somehow, some way. And it was when I took a trip to Ecuador, and the first night we had to land in Quito, and that was the first time I used Airbnb. And we took one room in this amazing gentleman that just opened his house. And I remember we had a delay in our flight and we got there about 1 a.m. He was waiting for us with open arms.
Oh, wow.
And we went to sleep. It was just a one-night reservation. And when we woke up, we were supposed to take a bus to Baños. So we woke up really early, around 6, and we hit the road around 8. But between 6 and 8, this gentleman made us a muesli and he prepared this breakfast for us. And I was like, I was blown away from like this experience. I was like, what's going on here? This is the perfect thing for me. I was just imagining me inviting people to my home and hosting them. This would just be natural. And at that time I had this amazing roommate. We were such good friends, and she got pregnant and she had to leave. And as I'm having this breakfast, I was like, this is perfect. I'm just gonna, when I go back, she has to leave and I can turn that extra room and host people from all over the world and meet new people, and just, it was perfect. So I stayed in Ecuador for about a month, and I learned Spanish, and it was just a great experience because in Baños, that little town, they didn't speak English at all.
Yeah, right.
So it was my opportunity to get on my Spanish, and I came back, and I remember it was a $1,550 to rent it per month. And back then, for me, it was like, how am I going to afford this by myself? And I came back, I furnished that other room with, the little that I had, and I started hosting. Hopefully I can get this going. And I remember it took about 3 weeks until I got my first guest, and I was so excited. And this was for me. I was like, oh my God, I'm hosting someone in my own house, and let's see how it's going to be. Because you basically, the way you think about it in the beginning is like you have a stranger in your house, like you don't know him. It was a guy, a professional. He was coming for, I remember it was a convention, and this was the perfect location for him. So he kind of like, I didn't have any reviews. It was just my first booking.
Really?
And he came. It was awesome. I gave him all the information he needed to know and prepared him, but I had no idea what I'm doing. Of course. It was like my very first reservation. And it was awesome. It all went smooth. So I was like, okay, there's something in here. So once I acquired my first review, and it was a 5-star review. He wrote so many good things because I was like, you're caring. You bring people to your own home, and it's kind of like you want them to have a good time and be comfortable, even though they're in your own home.
Yeah.
And they're seeing you. You kind of like cross path in the living room.
Are you ever like, oh my God, I've got to put
like,
clothes
what am I
on?
doing? Like, do I say hi?
Yeah.
Do I talk to him? Do I leave him alone?
Oh,
What if they're not a morning person? You're like, oh, I'm in my own house, but like.
And I love cooking. I was like, should I invite him for dinner? And I did that on the third day. This was about 5 days booking. And on the third day, I told him, hey, I'm going to make dinner tonight. If you're coming back early and you want to have dinner, and kind of like, we get to know each other.
That's awesome.
So he joined me for dinner, and it was great. And what really made me understand what this business is all about is after a few reservations, I realized that one room covers the entire rent, plus I'm making money.
Yeah,
so I was like, there's a business model here that I'm on something here.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
So I started hosting more and more and getting more reviews. And I remember the first challenge was I'm a flight attendant, right? I've still kept my job, and I'm doing this as a side hustle, trying to figure out what's going on. And the first time I had a few days available, I had a trip to Mexico that I had. It was a vacation with my girls. And I had a feeling that I have to prepare. I was like, I called my housekeeper. At that point, I started by cleaning the apartment by myself.
Yeah, of course.
But after a while, I was like, okay, this is taking too long. Let me pay someone to do this.
Yeah.
So I called my housekeeper. We prepared the apartment, and then I flew to Mexico. But what I didn't figure out was the keys. I had my friend with the keys, but I was like, if I get this last-minute reservation, my friend can come, da-da-da. So guess what? I'm in Mexico on the beach. I'm getting this last-minute reservation. My girl is at work. Nobody can come give those keys. It was like, terrible mistake. But then I realized, okay, so this business is great, but because I'm a flight attendant, I have to realize how I'm going to automate this business without really being there, just having it remotely, kind of like
running. Yeah.
I didn't understand how I'm going to do this, but when I came back, I lost that reservation. I didn't have, and it was cool. I was like, it's a learning experience.
Yeah.
Let's see what I can do.
Totally.
So I pulled out some videos on YouTube on how to install a key padlock.
I like that. YouTube.
I love YouTube. I seriously, I use YouTube to teach myself everything.
I know, right? It's like the best school in the world.
Absolutely.
Right there for you. And so I did it step by step. I bought the key padlock and I installed it. And ever since, all of my apartments have that keypad, and I don't need to worry about people checking in, last minute reservations, and obviously building a team that can be solid while you're away. So you have someone to take care of the apartments, to clean the apartments, kind of like be your eyes and ears when you're away.
Yeah.
And so this way I can just remotely manage everything. And from one apartment, when I realized that the model that you can rent an apartment for $1,500, but really rent it short term between $3,000 and $4,000. So you're making. So why do I even need to buy a property? I don't need to buy a property. I can make passive income. It's a new type of form of passive income. I just don't need the properties. So I didn't need to
risk,
have all this equity behind me and buy properties. And I just acquired more rental properties, and then it's just a numbers game. So if one apartment makes $2,000 a month, and you always want to keep the apartment, you know, it needs to be affordable. You're not there. You're not a hotel. Yeah. You're trying to kind of like make people have the luxury of traveling. Like big families can afford $200 per night versus they have to have 3 hotel rooms. Totally. So to me, it was just a numbers game. And I was like, okay, so if I have 6 apartments, I can make $12,000 a month. And if I have 10 apartments, I can make 20. So
for our listeners who are like tuning in, because I know this is how I'm thinking, I'm like, so you haven't bought any properties, like the ones that you're making residual income just off the ones that you rent. So how does that work? Like you go and get approved for a place and then your name's on the lease, but then you're renting a room out? Is that how you're doing it?
So what you do, so first I was renting just one room. Yeah. And then I realized maybe people don't really want to live with me.
Why not? I'd like to live with you. Yeah, you make me dinner.
Maybe like I'm cool and all that, but maybe they're not like excited to live with me. So maybe it's gonna be a good idea to just rent the entire space. Yeah. So I was living back then in a 2-bedroom apartment. So one time I listed the entire apartment as a 2-bedroom. I was like, let's give it a shot, see if that works. So I went to sleep by my girlfriend. I love that. I got my first big booking for the 2-bedroom. And I realized that works better. Yeah. And that makes more money. So I was like, okay, so I need to now have just an entire 2-bedroom or 1-bedroom, it doesn't matter, but people just want to be by themselves. Yeah. So, and now I actually know that they don't want to meet you either.
Some people don't. Like, I'm going to be straight up there. I sometimes, like, when I go stay at an Airbnb, I'm like, oh my gosh, I hope they're not there. I know that sounds so bad, but
right? Yeah. I totally get that. I was like, yeah, you can be. So they want someone to be reliable and explain and prepare them for their vacation. Because sometimes most people come from different countries. Sometimes they don't speak English very well, but you just want to prepare them and make them comfortable. Yeah. But then they don't want to meet you. It's kind of sometimes awkward for them, maybe for you. I can just be my sassy me and, meet all my guests, but sometimes they just don't want
too much.
So I was like, you know what? Let me just be me. If they want to, they probably will, they will message me and say, hey, you're going to be there. And that's probably about 5% of my entire guests that kind of like check if I'm going to be there but now it's just, I'm not there. Awesome. So I realized it's better to just rent it as it is. Yeah. And when I do, I speak to the landlords. I show them the benefits of having me as a tenant because I have one landlord that I have 5 properties with. he realized after 2 properties that this is great. And the apartments are always at top-notch conditions. There's someone that is always taking care of. The housekeeper is coming every week, probably because the turnover is quick. And so the condition is great. I take care of everything. And he has a one-stop shop.
So good.
One person, give them the rent, and he's happy. So other homeowners later on realize the same thing. Well, I guess it depends how you present it and, the credibility, but it takes time to build that. But once you have that chance with one landlord, you can just
keep
continue.
renting. And so how many properties do you have at the moment that you're renting?
So right now we have 2 different models. One model is where we take a rental, we lease it for a year, 2 years, and then I invest the money in furniture and I do my magic there to make it kind of like cozy and inviting, and the entire investment is on me. But also all the profits I'm gaining. It's nothing with the landlord. Yeah. And then the other model that we have, this is 6 apartments that I have in this model. And then we have another 7 homes, which are now in different countries. It's in Costa Rica and now in Mexico, which there's other vacation homes and owners that they don't want to deal with this. So you already have a platform and you can just plug their homes into what we're doing already. So right now, I think on my account, there's close to 600 reviews, and 600 reviews with an average of 4 to 5 people. It's like over 2,000 guests that I've been hosting in the past 5 years. So it's easy to just plug in and people will just book them right away because you have the credibility in the community. Yeah. So now what we do, the other properties we just manage, and I get the bookings, I drive the traffic, and they get the bookings, and we just take a percentage, which works well because vacation homes in Costa Rica and Mexico are bigger. Yeah. So the price per night is different than what I do in New Jersey. So it's a nice,
I'm not sure.
No investment because...
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm not sure what it's like in Australia, but when I'm thinking about like that, I don't know how that would work. Do you find that most real estates, do you find that real estates have an issue with you Airbnb-ing it out to other people? Like, do you have to be really upfront with them? You couldn't just go and rent it for yourself, then they find it later on online at an Airbnb website. Because I feel like so many people I know rent and they're like, oh, I've got a spare room, why don't you just put it on Airbnb? But you'd get in trouble by your landlord if you didn't tell them that's what you're doing. So how do you go around that?
So I think that transparency is key. Mm-hmm. So if you do business and you're just not transparent about what you're doing, then let's say if I rented a property for a year and then I invest my money into it and then they find out 2 months later and they're kicking me out basically. So what's in it for me? It's just like too much logistics and you're just going to lose. So it's better to explain them the benefits. And there's many benefits for the homeowner to have a tenant like me. Because frankly, all the properties that I took so far, after they had a long-term tenants, were in pretty bad condition. Then I went in and we painted and we fixed some stuff. And that's on my expense. Mm-hmm. So they basically get their property in a better condition, and it's always being maintained because you're not going to have a guest walk in with broken amenities or anything that is not top notch, because we're not a hotel, but I'm sharing the home. They pay money, so they want everything in a proper condition. So I think that's a big
not only that, like you're obviously renting for a long-term vision, like you're wanting to have that lease for more than the average tenant, because an average tenant might want to move or whatever, but you want to rent that space out because you have a business attached to that rental. So it's your invested interest to make sure that rental looks amazing and is in great condition. I think that's so smart. Yes. I love that.
And so how long do you, on average, how long do you usually hire out the places in that other model that you don't actually own and you're obviously renting from real estates? Like, how long do you usually sign a lease for?
So this one actually came from my boyfriend because he was so when we met, I was traveling by myself for a long time and he was doing his own thing traveling to Costa Rica, and he was renting one of the homes in Costa Rica. And when we connected, it was kind of weird because, we're doing the same exact thing, but just different models. So we partnered up in Costa Rica and kind of like expanded the portfolio.
Yeah.
So it was easier to reach out because he was living there 5 years prior. So he knew a lot of homeowners, and to plug in everything to my system and collab was easy because now we had just two Strongs account. And now you can do co-hosting on Airbnb. So they can see my credibility with all my reviews and his reviews, and together it's just like a no-brainer to book with us. How good is
that? That's great.
So, but for what you were saying, I remember that one of my landlords, I actually rented one of the homes through a broker. And when I explained the broker, he wanted his commission, of course. So he said about everything, yes, it's great. And the first time, so I'm furnishing the apartment, we signed the lease, everything is good. And the first family I'm hosting was from Germany. Awesome people. They walk into the apartment and there's a little nipple full of water. There's a leak coming from the upstairs apartment that the long-term tenant obviously didn't care about the leak. They have a bathroom. And on the day they check in, they see that and they text me. And minutes after, the entire ceiling is opened up and water is coming out. No. This was a total disaster. And this was my third property, but my first disaster. So, but they were so cool. They're texting me, listen, we took a bucket, we took this, everything is under control. So I'm calling the plumber and I'm bringing him there, and the landlord is coming in. So we fixed it within about 2-3 days. But the third day, it was a different reservation. So I explained the new guest. The other guests were cool. They even gave me 5 stars. They gave him beers. I gave him everything they wanted, just like to smooth it out. And they were super cool. And then there was another reservation. And when my landlord came again, he sees total different people. So then he calls me and he's like, I thought what is going on here? Because I just thought it's how people are changing so quickly. I was like, well, let me explain. Because I don't think, it seems like the broker did not explain you what's going on here. Yeah. So I explained him and I see he's losing color from his face. So I assured him that it's all going to be fine if he's just going to give me a chance. Yeah. Give me a chance to show you that everything is going to be cool. And let's just take it from there. Yeah. So he gives me that chance. We're already in a bind, and we just started the rental, and I look like a nice girl, you know? Yeah. So we started like that, and after a while, we saw everything is cool. So we've been in a relationship for 3 years now. Cool. And everything is good. But you see, like, that could be an issue if the broker didn't communicate to the homeowner, and then something happens, the truth will come out. Yeah. One way or another. So it's better to just be transparent.
I'm like, my brain is ticking right now because all of a sudden I'm just thinking like, oh my gosh, like I've got to ring Maddie up. I've got to tell him about this. Yes. But I'd love to learn, like, I mean, it sounds amazing. It obviously works for you. I'd love to know some challenges like that you would run into, and I'm sure that our listeners are probably wondering as well, like, cool, like I'm keen to start something like this, but what are the potential issues or problems or challenges that come up for someone who, you know, obviously you've got over 10 properties that you manage. What are some things that have popped up for you, and how have you dealt with them?
So I think the main thing is managing expectations, because if people come to your home and they don't know what to expect, then that's an issue. But when you lay out everything, including, some people live in like small towns or in the mountains, and it's super quiet, then they go to New Jersey, it's on the border with Manhattan, it's super loud. You're like, oh, it was noisy, oh, it was this, and you have to manage those expectations and really be sensitive with the communication.
Yeah.
You have sometimes people complain about things that they just didn't read on the listing, and the listing is pretty clear. You have all the description there, but people just don't read.
We know this. Trust us.
We're talking about this today.
And even more than that, I have such a great welcome email with links to transportation and directions to Manhattan and from Manhattan. Everything is just laid out for you. Just read.
Yeah.
They don't even read that. So that could be one challenge about managing expectations. But then when you're managing remotely and you're not there, so when you're there, you can take care of everything, even yourself. But when you're away, you need to have a team you can trust. So 2 days ago, what I do a check-in, check-out in the same day. So you can, some people leave at 11, 4 hours later, have another check-in. So about 2 days ago, there was a problem with the plumbing and there was no water. So now people are coming from Switzerland, they're landing in 4 hours. There's no water in the apartment.
Yeah.
This is not third world country. This is New Jersey. It's New Jersey. They need water. So I have a team that I trust, and my housekeeper is just like, it's my right hand.
Yeah.
It's my eyes and ears, and she's helping me with everything. So she checks in, and she do her magic, flipping the apartment over and making it ready. She's telling me, Orit, there's no water, and the plumber is here, and he's saying that just tomorrow he can bring that part that he needs to change in the plumbing. And I'm breathing in a disaster. This is a disaster. So she put the plumber on the phone, and with my broken Spanish that I can explain plumbing situation, I explain him that guests are coming and we need water no matter what it takes, no matter how much money needs to be spent here.
It has to happen.
We need water. So he understood the urgency, and he just made it happen for me. But if I didn't have, people I can trust, you need a team. You need a team you can trust while you're away, and you also need to compensate them in the correct way for their time. You cannot be cheap because this is your freedom.
Yeah.
I'm in Mexico in paradise. They're in New Jersey. It's raining, pouring rain. Yeah. It's minus minus 0. It's just like, so you have to be, you have to be generous and to value like what your freedom worth.
Yeah.
So to me, it's like that's a challenge that you can face, but once you kind of like interview and you teach your team, and you can be free.
Yeah.
And so something I was thinking though, because I know like even my partner and I will think of Airbnb being ours out like while we travel, but something that always comes into my head time and time again is, what if, like, I respect my home, but what if they don't respect my home? Like, does that ever worry you? What happens when stuff goes wrong, or I've had a girl who Airbnb'd her home and she came home and it was trashed. Like, how do you protect yourself from that, or does that happen? Or
right, so it starts with managing expectations, writing your house rules. So when people book, they agree to not smoke, no pets. They need to, even the littlest thing, like they go shopping. There's outlets in New York. Sometimes you come, like my housekeeper goes in and there's a pile of boxes, shoe boxes. Like she doesn't need to break those boxes down. Like, so you learn as you go, but I never had someone, intentionally coming and trash the house. It's like probably 0.5%. And when I say 0.5%, it's not people who trash your home. It's just people that they have a different standard of cleanliness, and like sometimes they may be confused that it's a hotel or it's home. But I think Airbnb also getting better at this. I don't book just with Airbnb. I book with Booking.com, with TripAdvisor, and I guess there's more awareness of what is it when you open your home, and it's all about communicating, especially when people are first timers on Airbnb or anything like that. So you want to kind of like convey, hey, this is my home. I open it for you. Just treat it the way you're going to treat your home, and even better. Because sometimes you don't know how people treat their home.
Yeah. So, but that's a risk. That's a risk that you have to take, though, isn't it? Like, it's a risk of your business that's something that
Right.
you have an opportunity to make money, and obviously it's an investment, but with that investment also comes risk. Yeah.
Yes. And I think, it happened, like different things happen, but sometimes it can happen in your own home. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know, after 3 years, the sofa bed got broken. Like, it's the mechanism. But
Yeah.
I have insurance on my sofa, so someone came and sometimes a lot of hosts will put it on the guest. Oh, you broke the plate. Oh, you broke this. Oh, it's just like, it's a business expense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just
tax
take
write-off.
it. You can write it off. You write it off. You write it off. You get a new one, and it's all good. So you have to kind of like think.
Yeah, outside the box.
Just put yourself in their shoes. Maybe they broke a glass.
Yeah.
It's not a big deal.
So you're in Mexico at the moment. You're traveling.
Right.
I'd love to know, like, what does a day in your life, in your work life, look like? Because obviously you get to travel around the globe and you have this amazing lifestyle. But what does a day in the life of Ori look like when you're working?
So it's an interesting question, because when you control your time, you really have to be on top of what you're doing with your time, and you really need to be disciplined. Let's just say. So if I'm a morning person, some people wake up a little later, but I'm an early riser. So when I wake up, maybe 6, 7, depending on how late I was sleeping, I first get to the business. So I will spend a few hours to see if there's new inquiries, if I need to take care of anything, update prices, whatever it is to boost the business. And then either I'll take a yoga class, or we go to the gym, and then we get some sun on the beach, because if you're in paradise, you better get your vitamin, your true vitamin, your natural vitamin D. So, and then we go back home, and we do intermittent fasting, because we're trying to get on a certain diet. I just eat when I feel hungry, not before, not socially. It used to be, let's have breakfast, let's have brunch, let's have lunch. Like, you sit with people all day and you can just
Eat.
It's my favorite pastime, though. Eating makes me happy.
You would be bad at intermittent fasting.
I couldn't do it.
Like, I've been intermittent fasting for about 4 months, and I love it.
I'm like, if I'm not eating, I'm thinking about what I'm going to eat next. Like, it preoccupies so much time in my head.
Food.
I love food.
Loves food.
It's funny, because I'm 33 years old, and I never before, in my 20s, with the fastest metabolism and training or anything, I never had six-pack. But
I've seen your six-pack. You've got a good six-pack. I've seen that. I missed it. You come back from the sun and breakfast, then what does work look like for the next of the day?
So I work. I do more creative work after. So I will write my articles. I'll start working. So the new business that we're working on, we want to educate people in our business. I just feel I have to share this because a lot of people, the first question I get is, so what do you do? So I say, normally vacation rental business. So do you own the properties? And I'm like, no. So what do you mean? So you manage for the owner the properties? I was like, well, that's one model, but my other model is it's a rental. People still, with Airbnb and all this exposure and the traveling industry, they don't get that concept. And even for homeowners, if they just flip their property and make it a short rental, that's a different ballgame. But it's just it's interesting. So I work on that now. We're doing an online course, and I'm starting to share everything on our YouTube channel. And we founded Jetsettersecrets, which is basically, hey, how do you travel? And you have a business. What do you do? So how can you afford this lifestyle and be in paradise? And
I love that, because I think so many people, especially when we work on social media, they just see these women creating these lifestyles where they do travel a lot, and they're mingling with cool people and doing these cool events. but they don't see that, yes, you work behind the scenes, but there's smarter ways of working opposed to working per hour and showing up somewhere at 9 and finishing at 5. So I love that you're creating a project where you're inspiring and teaching other women. That's the other way, because I know that's something you're really passionate about as well.
Yes. It's like a calling, you're doing this, everybody else can do this if they just had the tools and they knew the steps of how to do this. And it's not that hard. You just need to be focused on what you want to do and start your first apartment. And I promise you, after the first one, you'll see how it works. You're like, oh my God, all I need to do is do whatever I do anyways, communicate, text messaging, and like creating a great experience for other people. They're coming from different countries, and you're just facilitating the entire vacation for them by opening your home. That's a great model.
Yeah. And the fact that you can, like the fact that you're forward thinking and thinking about automating a course so that people can learn, like that's just genius. I think I love when people tap into automation, and that's passive income. That's like true residual income, and it just sounds like you're all over it. It's amazing.
Yeah. And funny enough, I think it's the new breed of passive income, because if you think about it, well, you used to, with real estate, you used to have to buy the property and then you're getting whatever income the rental income. But now you don't even have to buy it. It's just rent it and furnish it, and
isn't it?
and so good. Why do I need to be in debt and like have all this money behind me? And you can still make 6 figures. So, funny enough, I had one of my good friends. He has the biggest I've seen so far. He has about 200 apartments in Manhattan where it's illegal.
Yeah, apparently New York is like totally Airbnb is not allowed in New York or something. Is that what you mean?
It's so in Manhattan, the rental has to be more than 30 days. You can't do short term.
Yeah, right.
Because there's a big challenge with the conflict with all the hotels in Manhattan. So they don't want to allow it, and then there's some kind of there's regulations. But that's the biggest community of hosts is in New York. It's like the most rentals are in New York where it's illegal. Yeah. But there's I guess there's ways around it. But he has 200 apartments, and we had a conversation because I was thinking, oh, maybe I'll buy a property. And then we were running the numbers. He was like, why do you need to buy a property when you can make that more cash flow from a rental? And he's dropping over $1 million in rent every month. And of course he has, it's millions. So why do you need to buy them? He's like, you don't need to buy them. If one doesn't work, you close it, you move the furniture to another one.
Yeah, totally.
But if one didn't work for you and you bought it, and you're like, if one didn't work for you and you bought it, you're stuck with it now for the next 30 years.
So, and also, I think this is what I love about talking to other people in business and lots of different types of business. But I'm hoping you'd probably agree is that there's no such thing as like a get rich quick scheme overnight thing. Like I know you're making a 6-figure income now, but how long have you been doing it for, and how long did it take you to actually start like being able to reaping the benefits of the hard work that you did at the start?
I think it took about 6 months for me to realize that it's better for me to rent an entire apartment and not just one room. And after the first year, I added them up all in the first year because I realized there's something in here, and everything happened quickly. I was like, oh, boom, one rental. And then I furnished everything. And the next month I did another one. And the next month, in the beginning, I spent so much time in furnishing because I wanted a different look in each apartment. And then the first year that I had my 6 apartments, that was the first year that I was making 6 figures. So it happened pretty quick because you realize the model. You're like, okay, if I duplicate this, I just do whatever I did on this one and just it goes up.
And so let's talk figures. Like I'm sure people who are listening are really interested in like what are the costs that are involved in having a business like this? What's the turnover like? What's the income like? Like I'd love to know the nitty gritty.
So prepare yourself. This is the best part. So let's say you rent an apartment. So normally, well, probably different countries have different standards, but you normally have to pay first month and a security. And other than that, you can furnish a 2-bedroom apartment, like $7,000, fully equipped with everything you need. And then what you have, this is the only business that you can return your investment in 2-3 months.
Awesome.
I don't know any other business. Well, online business, obviously, because it's more your time. And then the only expenses you have is the rent and utilities. And even housekeeping, the guests are paying for the cleaning.
Of course. Yeah,
So
it's in the fees.
that's not coming out of your pocket. So basically, it's nothing.
And like furniture, I
It's
guess.
just like it's a fun business, and
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
That's
But the numbers are, and it's sad to me, that only less than 5% are really making 6 figures and more. Because normally people just make it as a side hustle, and they're just renting their extra room. And if they would take it just the next level and have a great team, and it doesn't have to be a big team, you just need a really good housekeeper.
Yeah.
You teach her what to do and how to stage the place when people come in, and then you have your maintenance guy that if something happens, or your plumber, and just like people that you can give them a call.
Yeah.
Hey, I need this, da-da-da.
I love it. And that's what your new project is about, isn't it? It's about teaching people how to do what you've done and teaching them the ins and outs. That's what it is, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, because it's all about a system. Most people don't have a system, but if you have a solid system, and obviously you also need to know how to drive traffic to your listing and how to list it and the pictures and how to draw the attention and how to get that 5-star review, because most hosts, they don't ask for a 5-star review because it's kind of like, do I ask it? No, you ask it. Yeah. If I delivered everything you expected, did I earn your 5-star review? And because you earned mine. Yeah. So I'm writing the review, and then I ask the review back. And that's what's growing here. And also collecting their emails, because you never know when you're going to need, maybe you send a promotion, and then you have people who are coming back, maybe outside of Airbnb or from a different platform, but you just like you maintain your clientele.
Yeah.
So there's a whole system behind it, and if you don't do it the correct way, you can't grow.
Yeah.
If you want to grow, you need a system.
It's kind of like doing it blind. Like you're sort of like, I'm sure a lot of people do this. They'll think, oh, I'll throw my property on Airbnb and make a few dollars. But they don't actually realise there's a system that they can follow and some things that they can do to maximise their income. And even like what you were saying before with taking photos, like people are so visual. Like I know I am. Like when I'm looking for an Airbnb, I want the house to look nice. I'm not going to like go and book a place that has iPhone like fuzzy photos. Like I want professional looking ones. So just, I feel like your course is going to be amazing. I can't wait to see the details about it.
And where do people find you in your course? Where can they go if they want more info?
So right now we're at jetsettersecrets.com, and we are also starting our YouTube channel where over there all the training videos that we're going to upload are free, and you can just learn, and I'm just giving it all away. All the secrets, everything you need to know. And if you want to dive deeper, then you can take the course.
Maybe the last question, do you have any other questions you'd love to know? I'm thinking about like if anybody's tuning in and they're like, you've lit something up for them and you've got them thinking bigger and thinking smarter about making an income. What advice would you give to them if they're thinking they want to do something like this?
I think my first epiphany about this was when I was in my early 20s and I was in the Army, and I had my entire career laid out by my commander, and it was great. And then one day I picked up a book by Robert Kiyosaki, and you probably heard about it. Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Yeah, good book.
And I read the entire series in 1 week. And after that week, I realized that I need passive income in order to be comfortable. I didn't want that timestamp. The more like the amount of hours you put in is X amount of money. If you earn 15, 100, it doesn't matter per hour. And that's a key. You want to use your talents, and everybody have their own, hidden talent, or they don't even know it exists, but you can teach other people. And it doesn't matter if it's a business or it's a talent, or you can just contribute, and people just need to go out there. And today, like the radio that we used to have is today's podcasts, and the TV is YouTube, and everything is there. They just need to share it. And there's a lot of people that are looking for that information. So that's why I think people should just do it.
Do it.
Good advice.
You just have to do
Great
it.
advice.
Whatever your fears are in the background, you just have to do it. And it is scary in the beginning, especially when you're putting money into it. But if you're not invested, you're not going to go all for it. You have to be invested.
You have skin in the game.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for chatting with us. It's been so amazing. Like, I've had so many light bulb moments, and it's been amazing to speak with you.
You as well.
Yeah, I just love chatting to other women around the world who are passionate about sharing that message. And just, I know, like you said, sometimes you go to a school and you learn a certain way of making an income, or a certain way you've got to do a job. And it was the same thing. I think that Rich Dad Poor Dad was the first book that kind of got me thinking, like
change your mentality.
Yeah, like if I'm working for a living, how do I live when I stop working? Whether or not that's because you have illness, or you fall pregnant, or you retire, or like if your partner, you lose your partner, like. And I think it's cool for young women to actually get out there and start educating young women. And like, I love the fact that you're doing that new program, just so if the knowledge is out there, like you said, you've got podcasts, you've got YouTube, you've got your beautiful program. If you want to do something like this, you don't have to be an expert. There's women who are actually wanting to teach you how they've done it.
Yeah, and I love that about you.
You're becoming an expert. Once you're doing this one thing, you're becoming good at it. And then you become an expert. And then you can just share it, and people just need to really look it up.
Tap into
it's all there. This is how I have passion for photography and videography, and I have no clue how to edit a video. And you go to YouTube, you start learning all these softwares, and then, you know how to edit a video. Yeah. So it just really, just go out there. Look it up. There's Google.
Or even for our listeners, go check out Orit's. You can go on your Instagram, because I know, just stalking you can see how to get good six-pack abs. You can see some of the travels that you guys do. Like, I love following you. So yeah, definitely, guys, if you want something to watch, go check out Orit's adventures. They're so much fun.
Thank you again so much.
So much fun, girls.
Thanks, great.
Thank you for having me.
Our pleasure. Bye.